Hi everyone! Today I'll be setting up my bullet journal for the month of February. I'll be using my Maisie Lane journal, and as always my setup will be aimed at helping me be more intentional and mindful for the month. If this is something you're interested in, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram. I started by dividing my page into thirds using my grid spacing ruler. So I made a mark where it says 3 on the ruler to see where I'd need to section off the page to split it into thirds equally. The page doesn't divide equally into thirds because there are 38 spaces on an A5 Archer and Olive dot grid, so you can see there are 2 spare spaces at the bottom here, and I can decide what I want to do with them. I'm planning to write up a reminder here, and I want it to be positioned lower down on the page, just below the middle, so I decided to move everything down 2 spaces. These rulers are now available in my Etsy shop, and I'll be publishing a video next week on how to create quick and easy spreads with it. I'll link it in the description box below. I drew some faint lines in pencil so I can easily see where I want to position my text in that space. I picked a reminder from the 2021 reminders page that I set up earlier in the year in my 2021 setup video. The one I want to choose for February is focus on what I can control. I don't want to use up my limited energy and time worrying about things that aren't in my control, like what the latest rules and restrictions are going to be or how long I'll be homeschooling for. Instead, I just want to focus on the things that are in my control. If you've been following me for a while on Instagram and YouTube, you might already know that I'm really into a branch of philosophy called Stoicism. Stoic principles are designed to make us better people, more resilient, virtuous, wise and happy. Focusing on what you can control is one of the key principles of Stoicism, and it's believed that if we only focus on what we can control and accept the rest as it is, we get to live the good life. I have a whole video explaining some of the key principles and some lists that you can make in your journals to help embrace those principles and be much happier in life. I used a black Sakura fine liner in the 08 size to write up my reminder. I then grabbed a pink Archer and Olive acrylograph pen in the 3mm nib. These are so much fun to use, so I take any excuse to use them. If you're thinking of getting any of these or anything from Archer and Olive, feel free to use my code Raksha10 to get 10% off. I decided to decorate the page with some pink flowers floating around the page. These are really easy to do. You just need to use your pen to do some messy dots to roughly form the shape of a circle, leaving some white space in the centre. Then you just do a little squiggle with a black pen in the middle, roughly aiming for a star kind of shape. The acrylograph pen kind of makes it look like splashes of paint, which I quite like. With the flowers, it's probably a bit easier to start at the centre of the flower with the black pen and do the pink around it after. But the reason I didn't do that is that you have to wait a few minutes for the black fine liner to dry. Otherwise the pink will smudge into the black and create a really dirty shade of pink. So I'd rather just use the fine liner second, but it's totally up to you. I spread these around the page so they look like they're floating, which is kind of the vibe I want in February in general, to just float through the month light and free. If you like to keep your themes simple so that you can set up pages quickly but also have fun with colours and stationery, then simple repetitive patterns are a good way to go. It's really relaxing and therapeutic just drawing the same thing over and over, which is often the main reason people like to decorate the pages. Next to this I have my cover page. I drew 2 lines across the page, following the markings that I created on the left-hand page. In this block I'm writing Feb with a black fine liner. I then added a calendar next to it to show me the month at a glance. I like having calendars everywhere. It kind of just makes me more aware of where I am in the month. And I like how they look on certain spreads. Then I started adding the floating pink and black flowers. I played around with the flowers a bit, adding some extra smudging around the edges to give it more of the paint splash effect. I didn't really feel like doing much of a theme for February. Nothing really called out to me, so I was planning to go completely minimal, and then for some reason I just felt like adding these flowers, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe I was better off going completely minimal, but I did enjoy this, so maybe not. Now onto my monthly log, which I'm setting up to have a full view of my monthly tasks and goals by week. I made a bit of a mistake here. I wrote February at the top and realised I did a big capital F in a different font to the rest, and I didn't really want to do that. Usually I ignore mistakes and they don't bother me that much, but I really wanted to change the F here, so I decided to grab my Archer and Olive notepad, which you can just rip pages out of to use in your journal. I counted up the number of dots I wanted to cover and cut a rectangle from the notepad paper in that size to cover it up. I think it blends in okay. What do you think? I'm much happier with the F now. I'm going for a simple monthly log with just lines going across the page to separate the weeks. I left 6 spaces for each day and wrote up the days for the month. In here I'll put in events, birthdays, tasks, and I'll probably end up colour coding parts of the week. I try to wake up at 5 AM to work on my content for a couple of hours before the kids get up. So if I colour code when I'll be working on blog posts versus videos, for example, I can clearly see what I'm going to be working on in the mornings on different days. I then added a section for goals that I want to focus on in February, which can be big or small, and a section to jot down random tasks when I think of them. Finally, I added the floating pink and black flowers across the top and the bottom. It is really nice and relaxing doing these because you can't mess them up, which is always good. As always, I have my simple things list for the month. I really love the could-do lists in a magazine that I read called The Simple Things, so I do my own version of it in my journal every month. This is a list of simple things you can enjoy or appreciate in the month, often related to the season. Things that might spark joy or just make you feel good when you've done them. I'm using my 5 simple things stencil to draw up the template for my list. This stencil is up on my Etsy shop as well, which I've linked in the description box. I added some touches of pink by colouring in the headers around the circle. I then added the flowers around it. My simple things this month are: look out for the first spring shoots. Eat syrupy pancakes for breakfast since it's Pancake Day in February. Buy yourself some flowers that make you smile. Enjoy a spiced warming tea after a cold walk. Enjoy the last of the cosy winter evenings. I'm thinking things like getting under a cosy throw and reading a book with a hot chocolate. Over on the next page, I set out my gratitude log. I'm keeping it really simple with just the title and pink flowers floating around it. The rest of the page will be filled up with things that I'm grateful for each day. In my last video, I set up a vision board to lay out the things that I want for the future. I used pictures from my past to bring the visions to life and added affirmations to remind myself of what I want and that I can do it. So I decided to set up a page here to break down some of those visions, a space to jot down some ideas of things that I could be doing to help work towards them. I used my grid spacing ruler to divide the pages into halves. When you line the ruler up with the top dot, you can quickly see where halfway down the page is, where it says number 2, and the same across the page to see where to split the page into 2 columns. I created a section in the middle to put in a title for the page and coloured the background pink to tie it in with the theme. And of course I added my pink flowers around the page. There were 8 different items on my vision board, so I'm going to add a header to represent each one. Next up, I wanted to share an idea for something you could use your journal for. I came across a channel called Modern Health Monk, and he shared a quote from Earl Nightingale. For whatever problem you're struggling with in your life, take out one page in a journal and write 10 ideas for how to overcome it. There's always challenges in daily life, and I think taking the time to reflect on them and brainstorm ways that you can overcome them can really help work through them before you let your thoughts run wild and you get overwhelmed by them. All you need is a blank page to write up the problem and 10 ideas to overcome it, but I'm setting up a template for it to encourage and remind myself to use it. It could be something like, I'm not finding the time to do things that are important to me, or maybe I can't get my 5-year-old son to focus on the virtual homeschooling. So then I'd sit down and think through what's really going on and jot down some ideas to try out. Like maybe make him have a shower in the morning instead of at night before school starts to wake him up, or try doing some exercise. So this is all set up as a reminder to use it when I have niggles, issues or bigger problems to work through, and I'm sure there'll be something in the month. If you're interested in thoughts and ideas like this, feel free to sign up to my weekly newsletter over on my blog. I've linked it in the description. We're now at the final spread in this setup, my weekly spread for the first week of February. I divided the page into 4 sections using the 4 markings on the ruler, and I did this on the left-hand page and the right-hand page. My video next week is in fact dedicated to creating really quick and easy weekly spreads using this ruler. On the left, the first section is for the February header, and the next 3 will be from Monday to Wednesday. This is my favourite quick and easy layout because you just write the day and extend a line across the page to separate each day. It's really fast, you can draw it up in a few minutes and get going with your daily planning. You can even use it as a rolling weekly rather than laying it all out first. I then added a pink flower to each line. I realised by the end of the setup that I preferred having fewer flowers and more white space. Now time for the flip through. Let me know what you think of the theme and the spread ideas in the comments below, and subscribe if you're interested in seeing more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.